Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's race day at the Bwoah Racing League once again. And I'm Sarthak Ayappa, your commentator for today. And of course, along with me, Rudra. What's up?
Nice to be back with yet another GP for you.
Yes.
A rather interesting one.
Yes, indeed, the French GP. And as we await, as the drivers lobby up and short qualifying is yet to begin, a lot of drivers have switched seats, Rudra.
We have seen a very interesting driver market. I mean, this is like the silly season of Bwoah Racing League, I must say.
Yes,
But
it is.
two major changes, right, Sarthak?
Yep, two major changes indeed. Of course, like we saw in the battle for Rosso Corsa Red, Gouts and Rusty Nish went head to head for that seat at Ferrari because Srivatson's computer had an issue. And yeah, Rusty Nish came out on top and he'll be in the Ferrari. It'll be interesting to see. He won the Australian GP, the first race of the league. So it'll be nice to see him in action, of course. And yeah.
Of course, to mention that Gotham had a pretty harsh result his way. It was heartbreak for him.
Like if anyone's watching right now, they have to, after this race, have to go and watch that 1v1. It's just beautiful. Like it was so close. Bahrain was so, sad for Gouts. But regardless.
We don't want to give too many details away, but trust me, you would not want to miss that race. So please ensure that you check it out after the race.
Exactly. Shock qualifying at France, Paul Ricard. Like Imtiaz said, there's all the place in the world to go off track here.
I still know, I hear it almost every single time I talk about multiplayer lobbies that the best way to play F1 multiplayer is to go to Paul Ricard without any rules, without any track limits, and have just fun going on a demolition derby. That really is a very, very, very fun track to race at.
Yep.
Without rules, of course.
And when we asked the last race's podium finishers about, one word to describe this circuit, the three words were pacey from the Supreme Leader, penalties from Accelerate, and difficult from KDB. And something in particular was KDB's word, difficult, because considering he is in the Williams and the nature of this track, we might not see him at his prime on this race.
So, Paul Ricard is always a very difficult one to gauge. You could say that Paul Ricard is the Monaco of dedicated circuits, You never know what to expect from the track. Some say it's even boring. I don't think so, but I have heard that.
Of course, difference in opinion amongst F1 fans throughout. As always. Sick Nick coming out. Red Bull. Do you think they can finally do something impeccable?
I surely hope so. If I had to go by the last race, it wasn't entirely bad for them. But then all the penalties just started racking up when it was, the old Red Bull back at where they were.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So funny to see how Cygnus Raghavan's AI did so good at Monaco. I remember that moment with you talking about debating rather whether it was the AI or the driver himself.
Well, and part of us actually wanted to believe it was the driver because
Exactly.
we have all been waiting for Red Bull to perform, to kick up, to launch the campaign, but it just hasn't happened.
Yep, indeed. And speaking of launching campaigns and actually pushing in the front, the Mercedes AMG team, Fries and Führer, they're out. They're on the outlap. I'm wondering, can they pull off something at Paul Ricard too?
Red Bull was at the bottom and Mercedes was at the top, and then suddenly Red Bull's above Mercedes, and both of them aren't doing so pretty. They sit at 9th and 10th right now, with Mercedes just 1 point above.
Yep.
They really need some sort of spoil this GP.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, they do. Rusty Nish in his Ferrari, he seems like right back at home. He had been campaigning the hashtag Nish for Ferrari ever since he lost the drive after Australia, and he finally got what he wants. Let's see if he can actually prove it, actually prove himself, put himself in the front at the end of this qualifying. 15 minutes to go.
We're happy for him. On the one hand, we feel bad for Gotham, like there could have been a lot more, but It was a
Indeed.
coveted ride, and at the end of the day, only one driver was supposed to get it.
Yep, indeed. As a Haas goes off track there, we've already got a moment of off-track madness, so to say. And speaking about driver switches, I mean, we can just we will keep track of the constructors' standings in the league, but with all the driver switches, I don't think it's even sane to keep at it. But regardless, both the Racing Point drivers have shifted to Renault. Both Renault drivers have shifted to McLaren. We've got a debut from Harshit in the Racing Point.
Well, a hearty welcome to him, and he definitely has jumped right into the mix, and I hope that the boys go easy on him for the first race, but you never know.
Yep, we hope the boys go easy on him indeed. Speaking of which, the boys did quite a spectacular job last night at an event hosted by Ultimate E. They almost got a podium lockout. KDB, UK and Big Man Joe. But regardless, even Vix 356 was involved, Freeze was involved. A brilliant race, no doubt. They showed the true caliber of the league.
Yes, very true. I mean, it was a nice practice session for them to get acquainted with their driving strategies for this race, even though it was a different track, but every bit helps.
And as we were talking about the BRL boys making a statement, Freeze with the fastest lap, 1 minute 33.664. It'd be interesting to see the Mercedes AMG on top.
Yeah, I mean, it's not often that we see a Mercedes in the top ranks in BRL.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easy to forget them even. I mean, we see a lot of Toro Rosso for this game, obviously, and a lot of Haas and Williams.
Yep, Haas and Williams indeed. UK and KDB, they're impeccable, and they've got teammates who are equally good. At least UK does. Whereas on KDB's side, Thor is a bit of a, he's not feeling that car pretty well, and a McLaren off track. Gouts.
It a little while to get adjusted to the new cars, of course, but the mistakes can be forgiven today.
Well, guess what, Rudra? Rusty Nish just set the fastest lap time of 1 minute 32.134.
Rusty was right at home. You can see in the confidence of his driving style. I mean, he really wanted to get back, and this is just really wholesome to watch.
Indeed, he seems to have gone off track a bit right now.
Or maybe he's just enjoying the moment, I guess.
Exactly.
I think it's the latter.
Exactly what I was thinking. Oh God, how beautiful. Gotta love.
I think I'm okay with the putting a faster lap, but one can hope.
I'm sorry, you broke a little bit. Could you repeat that?
I was saying that the icing on the cake for this would be if Gods were to make the fastest lap.
Oh my
after.
God.
But
What?
one can hope.
Indeed. It'll be interesting to see, but currently he's at P6. Way off.
It's not bad. I mean, he is actually doing better than he was in the Renault.
Indeed, for sure. I think that's why they considered that switch even, him and his teammate. And he goes into the pits. He's gonna come out after a while. And of course, Mr. Vex on track. And thoughts?
Earlier.
Thoughts?
We saw that the pit entry is very narrow for Paul Ricard. We might see a few crashes and wall scrapes today.
Could be indeed. Speaking of driver switches and the whole switching of teams and whatnot, both the Racing Point drivers who've been comparatively dominant in the league switched to Renault. Do you think they can keep that up? Do you think the dominance will continue but in a different team?
To be honest, I don't think so, because we have seen the way Renault has performed so far. I mean, it's not just the drivers, even the car is just as much to blame in this scenario. And given the form Racing Point was in, it's going to be very tricky to emulate the same form for Renault, at least in the start.
Indeed,
But it is their home GP, we must not forget that. So maybe a little bit of morale boost.
Yep, a little bit of morale boost. The Supreme Leader was highlighting this in the WhatsApp group of the Bwoah Racing League. Cygnus Raghavan's lap just got invalidated. I'm guessing he went off track at some point in time. But 9 drivers yet to set a lap.
has the confidence or some sort of caution speaking, but with 10 minutes to go, they should at least get a few laps in.
Yep, they should, and we will see here at the Bwoah Racing League French GP. If you're joining us right now, if you're new here, drop in the chat who you here for, which driver do you support, and yeah, we've got the real British GP in the evening today, 6:30. So this is a nice precursor to that.
Yes, exactly.
Because Racing Point, Harry Rocks 24, Harshit is on track on his outlap. He's getting a feel for the car, I'm guessing, as he goes through the corners at Paul Ricard.
We will, of course, be looking for a spectacular debut, but anything can happen.
Yep, he was excited. He is excited, in fact. He was looking forward for this. He didn't think he would get a chance at being in the Bwoah Racing League this quick. We had told him that, you know, the only possible opportunity for him to be in the league is probably next season, but regardless, he got it nonetheless. On his outlap, UK in the Haas. And just as we were on UK, Rusty Nish is out as well. Yellow flag in sector 1.
Long difference for the fans with the six, because there have been a few dozen, I would not say dozen, but at least half a dozen changes.
Yep, half a dozen changes indeed.
This is how the BRF silly season looks like.
Okay. Of course, we got a couple of folks in the comments talking about our drivers. We got Rusty Nish fans with the hashtag #GoRustyNish. The old Ferrari driver Srivatsan in the comments. And then we've got Arson saying easy for Accelerate. So we've got Accelerate's buddies in the chat as well. We've got Piyush Gandhi, who will be racing in the Race to Zero Hour League later on into the week. That's another thing we're working on. He says track limits are going to be key in quali.
I mean, Paul Ricard is a very, very wide track, but you can exploit it if you are sneaky enough.
Sneaky. Let's see who is sneaky. Both the Haas's right now have set considerably good times at P3 and P4. But let's not forget, a lot of the boys at the back of the grid. At the back of the grid, KDB and all, they're all front runners. The Supreme Leader and Vix 356, they're all potential top 5 qualifiers, as we've seen before. So maybe they'll put in a good lap.
We have 19 drivers of the GP today. One sadly has missed out. Sarthak, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, drivers missing out, as we've seen before, it's like a loss for them. Of course, the most ideal situation for us, and what even the viewers might enjoy, is a full racing grid. That's something we've always strived for. But regardless, like we've seen in Accelerate's case, he was probably one of the drivers who missed out the most initially, and he came out to win races at the end of the day. He won Monaco. So, yep, it all boils down to what you do when you miss a race.
Even more important was that we could have potentially seen another pseudo debut, because it would be a new lineup for Racing Point completely. But at this point, Harry Rocks is alone in his team.
Indeed, you caught that one pretty well, Rudra.
Have a double debut for Racing Point, but we'll set up McLaren. That seems interesting enough, along with Renault.
Indeed.
Wow, 3 different team debuts. That would have made a stellar French GP.
Yep, it would have. It would have indeed. Invalidated Gauss.
The driver who missed out was DS Aditya.
Yep, DS Aditya wasn't able to fill in his McLaren seat quite as much, so he probably won't be able to be part of the league, in fact. So yeah, we've got, I don't want to make an announcement saying the league is open and the spot is open, because clearly, as we watch on, UK went off track a bit and caught me off guard.
That was very odd. I mean, you don't often see UK doing that.
Kabir in the chat says, accelerate, don't choke. A little bit of banter from his friends.
That's a bit of a tough love, but The heart's in the right place.
And of course, Rusty Nish has his admirers, his fans in the chat, or possibly his friend actually. Vaishali says, "Look at you, Nish." So I'm guessing she says, "Look at you go, Nish." And yes, he is. He's on provisional pole with 5 minutes to go in the shock qualifying of the French GP.
Sure, Rashid might have gained like a few additional followers just because of the Roast of Corsa event. I mean, it was a pretty action-filled race event.
I know, right? Like, we can't even stop talking about it. That's how cool it was.
We were on the edge of the seats for all the 3 races. I mean, the first race we were kind of like, okay, alright, but then it just started heating up and it never stopped.
Yep, it did. Bahrain was a real nail biter. Indeed.
Yeah, it still makes me emotional because it was just too cruel, but yeah, no more spoilers again.
Okay. Srivatsan asks, why hasn't KDB put in a lap yet? And that's a good question. Does he seem to have like an issue with his possible wheel? Maybe.
I feel so. I mean, he's still in the session, but he might be having technical glitches, or he might be looking for a last lap Lando. But
Last
for
lap
instead.
Lando. Yep. It'll be interesting to see nonetheless. Rastinish coming out once again. I mean, if he can better this time all the well, great for him. But right now he's 7/10 off of the 7/10 ahead of Freeze, who's in P2. Wow, it looks like could we see a Ferrari and a Mercedes in the front row today?
Possible. I mean, I'm honestly pleasantly surprised by how Mercedes has been doing at least one driver. And Ferrari as well. I mean, top 10 for both of these teams is a huge deal.
Yes, in this league for sure it is. And like we were talking about this earlier, like even in the post-race chat and possibly just amongst ourselves, off camera or off the air, Rastinish going to Ferrari actually could jumble up the constructor standings for them, for sure.
It's impossible. I mean, right now, the top 3 teams that we would expect are currently the bottom 3 teams, with Ferrari looking the best out of 3.
Indeed.
They're at 23 points, but a good 2-3 races will see them jump over Renault and McLaren right at the edge of top 5. But I feel it's going to be a long time before they can crack themselves into the top 3, because right now there are 4 teams above 100 points. Wow, that is admirable.
Yep, admirable indeed. Harry Rocks 24 has set his first qualifying lap time in the league, 1 minute 36.432. Gets him a P11 position as of now. 2 minutes and counting for the shock qualifying to end. And the boys come out.
Finally on a top track.
Indeed. Go Ferrari, says Vaishali, Rustinish's friend, no doubt. Invalidated. Mr. Vex's lap just got invalidated. We are on board Gouts, as he almost got caught off guard there. Sector 3, yellow flag.
A little bit shaky, but that is to be expected.
Is to be expected indeed. He's gonna start his fast lap right now on board Gouts. Let's see him go around Paul Ricard.
He's going to catch the ball. But if I were him, I would give it a go.
Let's see if we can better his time, possibly get into the top 5. Rustinish still holds the fastest lap time. 1 minute to go here at shock qualifying at the Bwoah Racing League French GP.
I'm breaking the curve like I said, so that's a significant improvement in my books.
He's tackling corners like a boss, no doubt.
Gouts makes us talking about.
Harry Rocks 24 has retired from the session. I'm guessing he DNF, possibly.
Oh. With just a minute to go, that's pretty sad.
Yep, 30 seconds now. As around Sector 3 comes Gouts, we'll be looking at how good a time he was able to set. It should be faster. Sector 1, yellow flag. Rustinish still holds the fastest lap time. 12, 11, 10 seconds to go. Let's see what Gouts can do. Could he start another lap? No. Around the final corner he comes. And across the line he will set. P6 is all he could do. UK is on his fly lap as well. Freeze into the pit, so he will have to settle for P2. Unless someone could jump into the top space. UK across the line, P4. He will be starting P4. Big man Joe's on his lap as well. Could he crush Rusty Nish's provisional pole? Freeze will hold on to that P2. It's Big man Joe, Sicknick, Thunderbird and D Avocado. KDB as well. He's not set a lap time at all. Did he even come out?
The outlap indicator go off, but I don't think he's on track, is he? I sure hope so.
We'll take a look in a while. Oh yes, he is. KDB P7.
So I think the last lap Lando prediction was right to an extent.
Up to an extent. Looks like Big man Joe into the pits, which means he will hold P8. Looks like KDB is still flying. He's not done, KDB. Doesn't seem like, to say the least. Sicknig around the last corner. Where will he finish? Where will he put his car? Sticks to P9. I'm guessing that's a wrap of qualifying. Rusty Nish on pole. But both Gouts and KDB seems to be still on track.
Seems a bit weird, but we might just get to see another lap of KDB and hope of an improvement in his time.
Roger Sekar in the chat says go Setu. So we've got Setu Ram's friends, but regardless, it is Rusty Nish on pole with Ferrari as the two Williams have a little bit of a moment here post qualifying.
Maybe they just go against each other and just compliment now.
I guess he proved everyone that, you know, that's his spot. Ferrari is his seat. That's why he deserves to be, Rusty Nish.
At the gap, it's almost 7/10 of a second. That is an amazing performance in qualifying.
Yep, it is. And we've got a Ferrari in the front as well as a Mercedes. Like, this is amazing. And we've got a Haas in P3. I mean, we've never seen this happen before in the league.
No, this is the first for us, and you can hear it in our voices. I guess everybody who's watching the stream right now would genuinely feel our excitement.
Yep, indeed. Srivatsan says, Rusty making me proud.
True. He's making everyone proud, to be honest. You could see it. You could see it today. I mean, see, my voice is cracking. That's how excited I am.
Exactly. We're overjoyed here at the commentators box. I see 14 people watching the French GP of the Bwoah Racing League as we speak. Session starts in 15 seconds or so. Why don't you drop in chat who you here for, who you're going to be supporting, or probably you just like a team and you want to see which drivers represent that team in the league. So drop it in the chat, folks. And of course, driver to watch out for, Harry Rocks 24 as he makes his debut in the league. And we're about to go green at Paul Ricard. Lights out. And they go. They shoot down the main straight. Off track right away. Racing point. I'm guessing that Harry Rocks 24 all over the place. Freeze with the jump. Rusty Nish is fighting.
The wings flying.
Yup. Freeze with the huge jump. It's like he's almost a second away from who's at P2. Rusty Nish. Horrible start for him.
1 second of a gap already, and it's increasing. My God.
Yup, midfield is cluttered. A Renault off track there. Everyone's exploiting the circuit, so to speak. 3-second time penalty for corner cutting for the supreme leader. 3-way, 4-way. Cars are going crazy here at Paul Ricard.
Very hard not to laugh because I actually predicted this, that you could be sneaky about the edges, but they aren't. They're just going over the curbs like it's a road.
Yep, a little bit of a moment there for the Red Bull as he goes off track over the curb. Track limits beyond. You'll see as the drivers come along, there's leaves going all over. I was corrected prior to this that it's not debris, it is leaves. I can't believe I'm talking about leaves as it's wheel to wheel almost with the McLaren and Williams. Alfa Romeo Big Man Joe was on the tail of Setu RC18, but seems like Red Bull's catching up with them regardless.
Smith has somehow closed the gap to by less than 2 tenths. So good heading so far.
Yep, good indeed. And we'll see fastest lap time. Freezes in his element here at Paul Ricard. He got the jump start and he's also set the fastest lap time and he's leading the race for the first time ever in the league.
Only look up for Mercedes if it stays the way it is right now.
Indeed, Harry Rocks 24 fallen to the back of the pack and he is in the pits. I'm guessing he's gonna switch his front wing. He had a bad start.
The racing point was when we saw flying that time. He was all over the place during the start.
Yes, he was. And looks like, yep, Alfa Romeo catching up on that horse. Oh, 3-second time penalties for multiple drivers here. Gouts got a 3-second time penalty. Sicknig got one in the process. And as we see, Red Bull of Sicknig closing in on the supreme leader.
Another interesting thing to note is that KDB is currently P18. That's a very shocking news to hear.
Yep, shocking indeed. That Ferrari is going off there almost. D'Avocado and Furo and Thunderbird at the back. And
down in P11. That is not something we have gotten used to seeing in the last 2-3 races.
it's so off. All the front runners, at least till now in the league, clearly aren't at their prime in this on this track. And Freeze with the fastest lap once again. Race control says DRS enabled. Let's go racing.
This season has been real silly for BRL.
Yup, it has. And KDB doesn't seem like he's having a good day at all. Harry Rocks 24 is ahead of him. It's Rocketman's AI if I'm not wrong. But let us see. Freeze leading this race.
The gap has increased to 1.3 seconds and that does not bode well for any of the people behind these.
And around the outside, he's gonna try Big Man Joe across. Yup, he will get that position from Setu RC18. He had been on his tail for a while now. Rightfully done. Good overtake. And Srivatsan says, of course, everyone has started on the mediums, might have an advantage. Only one stop strategy possibly here is medium hard. Thoughts on that, Rudra?
Paul Ricard is pretty forgiving when it comes to tire wear, so anybody who starts off with mediums can maybe stretch the tires for another 2-3 laps, and it might just give them an extra 5 or 6 seconds to compete with, rather than people on softs.
And like we saw, D'Avocado's using, like going beyond track limits multiple times here on board BRL Thunderbird. Why am I saying BRL when we are the BRL? I have no clue. Regardless, Thor right behind him. But a huge gap to make up, 6 seconds. Not ideal. D'Avocado going away from the racing line, possibly not giving DRS for Thunderbird. Oh, and they shunt and they slide. Yup, Avocado slides. Real unfortunate as drivers cross him. It was a shunt between a Ferrari and a Renault, if I'm not wrong. Ferrari and a Mercedes, and the Renault got caught up in the race. Yeah.
Yes, and that allowed BRL to overtake Avocado and proceed ahead.
Yep, it did. Thunderbird will get DRS now, but will he be able to catch up to Furo? Closes in. Yup, he's going to dive around the outside. And wheel to wheel they go. They do touch a bit, but he holds his own. Thunderbird set the fastest lap time in 2 races so far. Always a pleasure talking to him on Instagram Live during the post-race sessions.
Seem to have excellent quali pace, but it's the race pace where he seems to struggle for at least half of the laps. And I really hope he gets into podium places consistently from now on.
Yup, meanwhile, considerable positions gained. The Supreme Leaders in the top 5 as well. Accelerate, closing in on Gouts. He will have DRS. And he is in striking distance. Could he possibly make the move? He's being clean. We've seen him drive a clean race before. And nope, very well behaved.
He's waiting for his time, and he will overtake very, very soon. You can feel it.
Yep, we can. He's at his gearbox, no doubt. At God's gearbox closing in, closer than ever. Oop. And we seem to have an issue, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us. As we try to reconnect to the French GP of the Bwoah Racing League. Should be back in no time, and stay with us everyone as we return to the French GP. And we've spoken about this time and time again. Issues with the game and connection and whatnot. Ain't that right, Rudra? Not the first time for us.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is brutally accurate. And although F1 seems to have improved the situation, but there still seems to be the same persistent glitch that exists for Codemasters.
Yep.
I hope it can only get better with time, but yeah.
You can only hope. That is the way technology is. And seems like we have encountered another session, ladies and gentlemen. And we will be back, no doubt. And we are back indeed, and seem to have rectified any possible issue as we go back into the race. Rudra, you're with me, right?
And while you wait for the session to join, I just had an idea of having an invitational open lobby where we put Paul Ricard without any rules and just see people go crazy with their cars. How does that sound for DRS?
Yep, I think, are you referring to that certain clip Lando Norris recently posted where he was going crazy at a particular track, like with damage completely or off or something?
The best part, if there are no rules, you can literally just run into all the blue and beautiful lines that we see on the circuit, as well as maybe have a reverse race.
To be really honest, while watching this race itself, it's kind of confusing, like when you watch the actual Formula 1 French GP, because of all the white, yellow and red lines. Regardless, we are back on track. Rusty Nish is leading the race. Big Man Joe is up into P2, considerable positions gained. Supreme Leader in P3 as of now. And as I set up a couple of interesting insights in game, Rudra, thoughts on the fact that Rusty Nish is leading the race 7 laps in?
I'm just angry at Codemasters for making us miss that moment, because not is he just leading, Freeze has dropped down to P4. I mean, what happened? How did that happen? We may never find out.
We may never find out apart from a if no, I'll tell you. They were on softs and seems like they have pitted an early pit stop. Yep, I'm sure of that, as Rusty Nish went in the pits as well for a change.
That explains it.
Yep, it does. There you go. Seems like Big Man Joe is leading the race. Not the first time in the league, no doubt. But Supreme Leader on his tail.
How the ex-Racing Point drivers had a very quiet qualifying, but they seem to be making it up right now in the race.
Yep, and he'll get slipstream. Will he dive down the inside? Yes, he does. Dive down the inside of Big Man Joe. Goes over the curb. Will get a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings. Not an ideal situation on his gearbox. Big Man Joe around the outside. He goes. Will get ahead.
So feeling a little lonely over there and taking the one along with him at the turn.
Wheel to wheel spectacular racing in the front here by these two drivers. Yep, Big Man Joe holds on to the race lead for now.
Big Man Joe and Supreme Leader both are on the same set of tires and the same life of tires. So all it comes down to is, will any one of them be undercutting the other?
Good eye, no doubt, Rudra. But looks like they're a little lonely in the front. 7 seconds ahead of Freeze, who's in P3.
Yes, but it is important to note that Freeze, Freeze and Rusty Nish have already served their pit stops, and the pack is going to shuffle a lot when the moment these guys come in.
Yup, it will. And looks like Rusty Nish is gaining on Vix 356. He must be enjoying the fact that he's actually, fighting for top 5 positions here at this race.
How aggressively he drove for the Rosso Costa event shows how much he wanted it, and now that he has it, he can finally get to show his true potential.
Yep, I agree completely. And he is, as he approaches Vix 356, he will have the slipstream, but will he have just enough time to dive anywhere close to him into the corner? Nope, he does not. It'll take a while before he's in striking distance, as it looks like UK Thunderbird accelerate. Last time we saw Haas's bullying a Toro Rosso. This time we see Toro Rosso's bullying a Haas.
The problem is of these two teams, it's like they want to be bantering with each other and they get caught up too much that it just makes for great race viewing.
Great race viewing indeed. And as you can see, it's Setu who's in between a possible Toro Rosso sandwich any moment now, but he is trying down the inside. He goes off Thunderbird and comes out on top, at least for now. Wheel to wheel, the Toro Rossos.
A bit outside though.
The Toro Rossos went wheel to wheel there for a moment.
I hope Thunderbird does not hinder Accelerate in any way, because Accelerate is faster as he overtakes now.
Yup, a moment off on there at that curb for Thunderbird. He almost came to a complete halt.
Maybe let Accelerate go and then realize that Accelerate has already passed him.
Seems like there are two different strategies though. Accelerate on the softs and Thunderbird on the mediums. Big Man Joe seems to have left this session. Connection issues, no doubt. Supreme Leader will take that race lead. And looks like Führer has a Red Bull on his tail.
Picnic with a 3-second time penalty while chasing Führer.
Indeed. And on his gearbox he is. Sicknig will get that slipstream. And he will try around the outside. Coming into the corner. Will he be able to stick it? Yup, gets that position. and he's 3 seconds off of Gouts, who's in P11. And seems like Gouts, he himself is giving Thunderbird quite a fight right now. And yep, we'll get that position.
How Mr. Wex is performing today.
Mr. Wex was the talk back in Canada. Talk of the paddock to say at Canada, because he had a bit of a moment at the World Champions. He did not touch, but he went off rather well aggressively.
Yeah, and I know how much that disappointed you, because nobody had any sort of dates with the Wall of Champions, should I say, and you pretty bummed out.
No, I wasn't looking forward for a crash, but Wall of Champions is a particular part of that track which is a talking point, so to say, amongst commentators and media entities. KDB has retired from the session. What has happened to KDB? Disastrous race. Just yesterday he was having a good time at the Ultimate EVO Virtual Grand Prix, but today at the league, disappointing. Safety cars out because of the yellow flag. Safety car out because of KDB. DNF. KDB is in the commentator's box. Bro, KDB, what happened?
Everything went wrong. Everything. You
Everything?
name it.
You said it was gonna be difficult here at Paul Ricard, but we expected you to finish, you know.
Yeah, even I expected myself to finish.
Of course.
I just lost the car.
What exactly went wrong?
A lot of things. Actually, I've been playing F1 2020 the last week, so it's like this game is completely different in terms of physics. And when you drive on a wheel, that is even more exacerbated. So I just couldn't like do anything with it. It was very hard to drive. I couldn't keep my tires in temperature. I had crazy tire wear. I was spinning out the corner. It's chaos. And I got spun out by Ishan also, Sydney.
Oh, okay.
So everything just went south for me. It wasn't my race.
That was unfortunate. All the cars seem to be diving into the pits. The safety car coming out.
Yeah.
You talk about a lot about the physics of the two games being different. But in your opinion, which one do you think is better? Do you think the 2019 is still good or the 2021?
Sure, the 2019 one has its strengths. Like the 2020 cars are so much faster, and so like obviously I'm going to prefer the 2020 ones, and like they drive really differently compared to the 2019 cars. So I just couldn't get a handle on it. At least not in one day.
Not in one day. Yep. Thoughts on your teammate? Do you think he can considerably finish in the points?
It seems pretty difficult from where he is right now, but considering the safety car is out, he might be able to do something with it. We'll have to see. He also did pit for mediums, I guess, right now. So we'll see what happens.
Yep, we shall.
Hopefully he can make up.
Yes, he can. Thank you for joining us, KDB. You're welcome to stay with us here at the commentator's box. As we see, safety car is still out and Freeze is back to leading this race.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened. I don't know how Free was leading, but wasn't Shay on pole? I'm not sure what's happening.
Yep, Freeze was on pole and he was leading. Big man,
The supreme leader, Big Man Joe, Wix and Rastinish all went for a pit stop. And a few of them are pulling a high tire strategy. That's interesting.
many in fact.
Yeah.
Back at the
I
pack.
guess it does make sense to go pit for hards now and run to the end. We all see them on one stop, so I guess they're doing soft to hard or like medium to hard.
Yes, that's true. For any of our viewers who don't know about this, F1 regulations state that you have to use at least 2 different tire compounds in a single race. So if you're going for a single pit stop, you have to change your tire to another compound. So if anybody goes for hard, I think it might be majority of the medium tire drivers.
Yup. And looks like Supreme Leader on the tail, almost racing Freeze there. And they've got UK to worry about soon enough once the safety car goes in. But about over 10 laps, in fact over 15 laps, almost 14 to be specific, to go here at the French GP. Who do you think will come out on top, boys?
Why don't you start with this, KDB?
Uh, Freeze looks pretty strong over here. but
Surprisingly.
I would discount UK as well. He's always been strong at France,
Mhm.
except in track where there's tracks where there aren't strict like there aren't hard walls you can run into and end your race. Given that he's on a keyboard, it's actually easier for him to keep his car in check. And he also has softer tires than the car in front of him. If I'm not wrong. Supreme Leader is on hards and UK is on medium, so he'll be right on him as soon as the safety car ends.
Yep. He'll be
So
right
I
on his
think
tail.
those two are the ones to watch out for. Sri is also going to have a very hard time defending from cars behind because they'll have DRS and he won't.
It'll be interesting to
That,
see.
but Checo just got a 5-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag, and then Sicknick gets a 3-second penalty, and God
God
gets a
is
5-second penalty too for the same incidents. We are going to see a very shaken up midfield at the end of the race, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Yep. Harry Rocks 24, his debut today, and he is currently at P13 on the hard tires, which have already gone for 11 laps.
Yes,
Yeah, I don't think he's
remember,
pitted.
Harry was the one to pit in the second lap itself to fix his front wing, and he chose the hard tires that time. So he is the only one to not pit so far, I guess.
Perhaps as the two McLaren drivers within a second of each other there in P11 and P12. Safety car still out at lap
It's in
13.
this lap. Safety cars in this lap.
Safety cars in this lap indeed.
They're all backing up.
Yep. 5-second time penalty after severe collision with Rocketman and Thor for Avocado. Two 5-second penalties. And we will be set to go racing here at Paul Ricard any moment now. Yep, safety car in, freeze down the main straight. Supreme Leader will have slipstream. UK too. Will we see them diving down the inside of freeze any moment now? Supreme Leader peaks, but isn't gonna try anything. He holds his position. Oh, he does.
He runs wide, does freeze, and also Supreme Leader is going to have to run on him into turn 3. They're going side by side. Freeze overshoots the corner, but Supreme Leader sticks it down the outside, loses out the freeze again. And UK is in the mix as well now.
Yep, Rook is in the mix. Wheel to wheel there, freeze and Supreme Leader.
Yeah.
And everyone making good use of going beyond track limits. That Red Bull was completely off.
It's not the best of the track. I mean, Paul Ricard does get pretty confusing. I mean, is it a track or is it a tattoo parlor? I don't get the point.
Yep. Closer than ever. Seems like almost the entire top 10 are within a second of each other. And as Yup. And Big Man Joe's gonna close in. UK gonna fight with Supreme Leader any moment now. He is in striking distance. Will he go around the inside? Goes on the curb.
That was close.
Close but no cigar. As Supreme Leader's gap to freeze only becomes bigger. 1 second now.
Oh, freeze has gone wide and the gap comes right down. So we have this advantage going on in the straight.
Every
If he
corner.
can hold on.
Every corner counts. Every corner counts. And down the main street, straight they come. UK will get slipstream. Let's see if he tries something. Doesn't quite. Wonderful racing here. And accelerate on the tail of Rusty Nish, who was on his tail.
Oh, they're going side by side. Supreme Leader and UK, and they touch. Going on the straight. Big Man Joe is now caught up with the two of them. They're not going to have DRS just this lap, but UK actually got the move done. He's in front of Supreme Leader.
Yep.
But Supreme Leader is going to try and send it down the inside going to the straight. And it looks like he has the run on UK. He is ahead of him, and he's probably got the move done. Oh no, UK sends it around the
Oh,
outside
yes!
of the straight again.
He spun.
Oh no.
No.
On
Disaster.
the track in front of all of the drivers. I don't think you're allowed to do that, are you?
Yeah, no, that looked pretty hairy. I'm sure the students will have a look at that. But that was less than ideal. Yeah.
It was a Toro Rosso in Canada who was in a Haas sandwich. Right now, it's Big Man Joe in between the two Haas's.
the Haas boys actually. They're up there in second and fourth place. Really strong showing of them.
If I were into the Haas team radio right now, I would be, if I was UK, I would be telling Setu to try to fight Big Man Joe in order to give UK some breathing space.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you could also think from Setu's perspective, he might be asking UK to back the match or to get DRs off of him on this lap. That's also a possibility.
Points.
Yeah.
Swing.
Like I was saying earlier, normally every driver gains in the safety car period, but I don't know if you guys noticed, Mr. Wex has dropped from P4 to P11. That's a 7-place drop in the safety car period.
Yeah, and I think he also has a penalty, or was it that the other McLaren?
Bots has a 5-second penalty. I think
Right,
Mr. Wex is on a 3-second penalty for multiple
Okay.
And they found each other on track once again.
I think one of them took the styrofoam board with them for the DRS. That's sad.
Accelerate, can't get the move from Rusty Nish, stays behind, will fight another day. And while the Renaults are actually battling out here as well, so Supreme Leader loses out massively from that. From running in second place, he's now down in fifth.
Yep, 3-second time penalty for Rusty Nish. Supreme Leader and Vix 356 close together. And Setu RC18 and Big Man Joe and UK right there for P2 possibly, but seems like they're over a second of each other in terms of gap. UK is 4 seconds off of Freeze. Correction to what I said earlier. It was Rusty Nish who was on pole and Freeze who was in the front row as well. So just a quick correction. Nevertheless, UK into the pits.
Look in the pits. I don't know why he's pitting now. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what's... He's going on to the mediums again. Not even the front wing change, so I think, yeah, that was just where this regular scheduled pit stop.
Regular
So
schedule.
By
that's-
the way, KDB, if you already drove on the track right now, how tempting is it to just go over to the blue and red stripes and just drive there instead of the tracks?
Oh, it's,
I mean,
trust me, it's so
when you're
tempting. Especially with the straight corner cutting and everything. Especially right over the crest of it is very tempting to just run over the curve and then go wide since the track is so nice and open and flowing, but obviously the track limits are there for a reason and you can't really exploit them too much.
I also suggested to Stansik that we have an open lobby with no rules and no track limits. That's the problem. And have the drivers who drive over any space that is drive.
Sorry to interrupt you boys, but looks like Rusty Nish has split the two Renaults. And he had quite a fight with Vix 356 there, but Vix 356 will try and get his position back any moment now. He does. He's on his tail, gearbox in his sights.
Yeah. Important to note though, Vix 356 is almost out of VRS and 8% of his battery, so he will not even be able to use overtake mode down the main straight. He'll have to make do with only DRS. While Rusty Nish has a healthier battery in comparison, so he will have overtake mode.
And yes,
available.
Setu RC18 goes into the pits.
Yep.
Big Man Joe will stay P2. And looks like Haas is on a different kind of strategy. With the mediums, UK came out and he's in P12 as we speak. Wonder where Setu RC will come out. Or
So
could
that's
If you
interesting.
want to go with the current trends, I feel that Freeze will have to pit within a lap or two because I don't think the mediums are lasting any more than 10 to 12 laps.
Yeah, definitely. Freeze is a due a pit stop, and the guys behind in the hearts, I think they're going to go to like to the end maybe. That seems very ambitious, but they have it locked down strategically.
Seems like it. As we've heard before, the teammates are quite communicative on team radio. And Setu RC18 right out of the pits and fighting Furo immediately.
Yeah. It looks like Fura has actually disconnected, so that's probably his AI driving right now.
Oops. All
Yeah.
over. Harry Rocks 24 off track. And he gets 5-second penalty for corner cutting.
Tracks
Yeah.
to talk about, you know?
Yep. Setu RC18 will come out on top of Fura. And he is reunited with his teammate right behind him. But 5 seconds off nonetheless.
Oh no, Freeze is staying out even more. That's gonna really hurt him in the end. He's gonna stretch these medium tires. He's gonna continually lose time to the guys behind on the hards. Not immediately, but eventually as the laps start to build up, he will start to lose the time. And when he eventually does hits for softs, which I think he's thinking of, he's actually gonna end up way back.
And on the
So I think he needs to.
And on the main straight, Accelerate will try and go around the outside. Doesn't quite do it. Vix 356 and Accelerate will be fighting wheel to wheel any moment now. Accelerate being immensely patient while fighting for positions.
Like a flipper, he clearly waits for an opening. He's very patient on the steering wheel, and his moves are very, very clean.
The parry rock.
Gonna have DRS.
Up, we'll see him try again here. Possibly he does. No, peaks.
Yeah, his battery is out of charge. He can't really we'll have to fight. Try next lap maybe.
Next lap indeed. Oh, he's on his gearbox. Oh my god, look at this view. And
That was close.
let's see what he can pull. They're all flat out there through that corner. Oh, Vix 356 gets a little bit of a moment. Wheel to wheel. Accelerate. Gets pushed off by Sicknig.
Oh.
Sicknig rather aggressive there, and he's right now fighting with Vix 356.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
Pulled off an Albert move to somebody else.
Yup, it's the Renault, Red Bull and Accelerate. Shunts all around. Accelerate shunted Red Bull.
Also got a 3-second penalty there that
Yup, he does. They should have slipstream. DRS open. The letterbox on the rear wing is open. Nope, doesn't quite get it. Looks like the Red Bull is desperate to get that position.
this is brilliant, this is brilliant.
Brilliant indeed. Look at him go. Look at these boys go. Vix 356 doing a phenomenal job, I must say, holding them off.
Yep, he does. Let's see how he fares on this straight. Still has a charged battery. You don't take one down this straight. Gets the DRS. And it's open.
He's swaying.
Doesn't look like he's running the DRS. No.
Nope. Doesn't look like his letterbox is open at the back. No, it isn't. He was swaying back there in that straight to an extent just to make sure no one gets that slipstream. And that half a second gap should play in his favor. And we've got a McLaren coming into the mix now. A fight for P5.
Yep. Meanwhile, Freeze.
And he shunts and he slides Vix 356. Red Bull super aggressive there. Sicknig.
I'm sure he's going to have something to say to the stewards.
Yep.
After those incidents.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Mr. Vex capitalizes on that moment and he comes up in front of Accelerate. Accelerate is the only one who lost considerably in that fight. He was initially fighting Vix 356 and now he's completely back. He's in P8.
Yeah, he's fallen off massively. Actually, I think he's made a better decision by staying out of it because as he went this whole race.
You think so? I don't know. Sicknig just went off there and Mr. Vex gets that position. At the end of the day, looks like Vex capitalizes on the whole scenario.
Wow, he's charging through them. These guys have been fighting for like 5 laps. Mr. Vex just got nowhere. Through 2 cars already. 1 more car left. That's Mr. Vex. Not Mr. Vex, that's Vex.
Yep, these 4 are giving quite a shot for positions lately. And Mr. Vex will try. Seemed like he was, but he is again the 3rd driver on the tail of Vix 356.
It's gonna have slipstream all the way down to turn 10. Flat, fast right hander. It's completely flat on these cars, so much down close. Just not even a hint of liftoff.
Up closer than ever, will he try? Yes, he does. Down the inside, he goes little over the curb there. Pushes Vix 356 a bit off track. Vix 356 fights back.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
Amazing racing indeed.
It's nice to see both the Renault drivers like get accustomed so quickly after the Racing Point cars, because it's the home GP after all. They need to have this self-respect, but they look pretty comfortable.
Yeah, they do indeed. Like it doesn't seem they've been affected that much by moving from Racing Point to a less powerful Renault.
The Renault guys were performing well. No slack to any of them. They did pretty well in the McLaren, but still.
Arson, who's Accelerate's friend, says Sicknig is representation of Kvyat in Red Bull. No, this is. Honestly, I'm taken aback because we've never seen Sicknig drive the way he has just now.
Oh, just gonna interrupt you, Sarthak there. Accelerate goes down the inside of Sicknig. He's got the move done on Sicknig.
Yep,
Now he goes into the braking zone.
we were able to catch that.
Yeah.
Good work there, no doubt, by Accelerate.
I don't know what has gotten into him in today's race.
And looks like Gouts in UK having quite the fight there. Yep, UK trying for that position. 3-second time penalty for Sicknig after multiple warnings. Don't think anyone's gonna argue about that.
Yeah.
And looks like he is closer than ever. UK on Gouts. 0.2 seconds.
On 17 laps old medium tires, I'm not able to understand how is he able to maintain a 6-second gap even then.
Yup, freeze. My
This
god.
tire will going to go off pretty soon, and he's going to be at a very big disadvantage.
Yup,
If
like
he can hold
we'll
on
see.
to them, like Prost.
Not
But
Steve
I
Lapping, 17 laps.
And he takes
Yeah.
that overtake. UK, meanwhile, as you talk about freeze, we see UK here fighting for position. And he gets that. I
Yes, he
think,
does. It's nice.
correct me if I'm wrong, boys, but I feel both the Haas's could have thought, like, you know, possibly another safety car could come out and they could capitalize on that situation. Because it doesn't make sense. Why would they pit so late and, you know, come out, you know, P9, and I see Setu RC18 still in P12.
Perhaps they just wanted the pressure now. Because if you look right now, UK is on 6 lap old mediums, while everybody around it is on 11 lap old hards. So he'll have a much better advantage when it comes to racing right now. So he's going to charge through the field, and we see him going around Sicknig. I think he's got the move done. Yes, he has. Takes
Yep, he
side
has.
line for fast right-hander. That's done.
Yeah, shoots past the Red Bull, who's rather aggressive today, in his prime perhaps.
Maybe because Red Bull is finally in the points and they will do everything they can to get some points.
Yep. And as you can see, Accelerate's back behind Vix 356, and finally Vix 356 has someone in front of him to fight for, but it's someone who made a move on him. Vex is in front of Vix 356 as they come around the final corner. Lap 25 will begin for these lads at the French GP of the Bwoah Racing League main straight. Can Vix 356 pull a move? No, he doesn't. Gap's too wide. Big.
This is amazing stuff. I don't think Freeze in P1 is going to quit from these tires. He's going to the end on those mediums. That's a commendable job if he really maintain them for 18 laps now.
He just has to hold on for 3 laps.
Yep.
3 laps to go.
Is the gap's not even reducing, it's actually increasing sometimes. Right, it was reducing, but wow, just
Yeah.
brilliant drive. What a brilliant drive from us.
Yep. Meanwhile,
Phenomenal job, man.
meanwhile, Big Man Joe, 6 seconds off of freeze, like y'all noticed.
Cots has got the move done on Sicknig
Yep, he has.
right now.
And all within a second. Vix 356, Accelerate, and UK are all within a second right now of each other.
This is going to the end. This battle for P5 is going to last at the very end, I think. And UK is going to have the advantage among all 4 of them because he's on those 7 lap old fresh medium tires compared to those hard tires that are 12 laps old.
Yep.
On the others.
Oh, and he tries there. UK gets his front wing nicked, but holds on to that car. onto the track. Make sure the car's on track nonetheless. He's trying his best.
And he's gonna have DRS going down the straight as well. Let's see what he can do now.
We shall see. Can those mediums play in his favor? Nope, that gap seems significant. Accelerate has DRS as well on Vix356. Will he finally be ahead of him?
Oh, that's close. That was really close. He almost ran into the back of Vignesh there. Props for him. Props to him for keeping it out.
Yep. Fantastic precision driving by UK. No doubt. Setu RC18 will be the next driver to get into the mix and possibly fight with Chiknik, but 5.5 seconds off of him. Don't think that'll be happening anytime soon. And Thunderbird seems to have gone into the pits, and he's doing it again. My god, he's coming out on the softs. He wants to be the driver to set the fastest lap time again.
Yeah, but unfortunately for him, he's down in P40. He's not going to get that extra point unless he comes up to at least P10. So he's got his work cut out.
And he's fighting with the avocado right away.
Oh, UK has got the move on accelerate into turn 10.
Yep, he has.
Nice move on the outside.
Good move, no doubt. And he's closing in on Vix356. Vix356 is like the reference point for P5 almost for a while now.
Almost touches him. Yeah, you're right, sir.
I would send your name P5 to P356 because I think that would be deserved honor for him.
Him being called the driver of the day back in Monaco really made his day, in fact, after that strategic error on his part. Regardless, main straight, UK will have DRS. Will he dive down the inside of Vix356? Nope, he holds back again.
Vix356 goes wide. He's going to have him into turn 3, and he does. That's a really stupid mistake from Vignesh. He's going to be kicking himself after that. Oh no, that was horrible for him.
He will. And UK, first driver after Mr. Vex to make the overtake and possibly fight for P5 soon. Vix356 down to P7, Accelerate still in P8, Gouts in P9. Sector 3 goes yellow. Flag on Sector 3. Seems like it's a moment between.
A bit slow Mercedes. Okay, I think it's fine. Yeah.
Yep, I think it's fine. Just a bit of a moment with the car going off track possibly. Big Man Joe 5 seconds off of Freeze. I think I'll be too bullish if I say on the last lap he could give a fighting chance. Freeze looks all well and good as long as he can manage this penultimate lap and the final lap.
Yeah, he's done an amazing job actually. He's surpassed all expectations. I was sure he was going to quit, but he didn't, and he stayed out on those mediums. 20 laps old at this point. That's older than any of the tires on the entire grid right now. So amazing job by Freeze.
One stop strategy. I mean, just incredible. Not only did he do this, but he even kept the lead to such a big gap.
Yeah, he did. Oh, that's a 3-second penalty for Accelerate. He's not going to help. That's not going to help his race.
Yup, it's not. P8 is probably what he might be sticking to. Vix356 within a second of UK now. Let's go down and take a look as we start the final lap of the French GP. Can UK hold on to that P6 position? Vix356. The gap doesn't seem optimistic on his side. They're the closest on track right now. Regardless, you can evidently see how much of an impact the driver switching from team to team has had in the league itself. And of course, Thunderbird with the fastest lap time of 1 minute 35.730.
But like I said, he's not going to have
yeah,
that extra
he's not going to
point.
get that point. But he will. I'm guessing he wants that perk of being on IG Live, perhaps?
Yeah, that's true. So, everyone watching, you can tune into RoadRunnerRacingCo Esports' Instagram Live after the race for an interview with the driver who sets the fastest lap.
Yep, they can. And 3-second time penalty for Harry Rocks 24 on his debut. 3-second time penalty for your teammate, Thor.
Freeze comes across the line in first place. That's it.
P1 for Freeze. And what race? He did spectacular here. Big Man Joe.
Yeah, he did.
in P2. Supreme Leader comes across the line in his Renault after switching from Racing Point at P3. Rusty Nish in his rightfully deserved Ferrari seat at P4. And after penalties, looks like UK will keep P5, P6
Yep.
for Wix 356. Mr. Wex P7, he'll be glad about that as well. Accelerate at P8. Setu RC18 at P9. Gouts to close in on those point scoring positions. Wow, looks like both the Haas's, both the McLarens, both the Renaults in the top 10.
Yeah. And if you look closely, Sarthak, the gap between on the final classification, the gap between P1 and P2 is just 3/10 of a second. So I think Freeze had quite a lot of penalties, which would have
one
been
point penalty actually.
Yeah.
Which caused it. I mean, the gap was literally 5.5 seconds, which just turned to this.
Yep.
Yeah, so Big Manjo lost out on the win by 3/10 of a second. He's going to be gutted after that.
Yep, he will. And looks like 5-second time penalty after an unserved unserved penalty for both Führer and the Avocado as they come across the line. Last ones to come across the line. What a race indeed. Freeze, the winner of the French GP. And for the 11 people still tuning in, thank you very much. And thank you, KDB, for joining us here
my
at the
pleasure,
commentators box. You were able to give us
That's really
insights. You were able to give us insights which we can't quite see as spectators, given the nature of the game, the ERS, battery levels, and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yep. And of course, Rudra, always a
problem, yeah.
pleasure.
Yeah. That was an amazing race. I'm kind of glad I didn't live it. I wanted to watch it instead.
We are glad to. Rudra, I'll have to ask you to repeat what you just said because you kind of broke off.
How we're gonna keep a closer eye on KDB for the next race, so that we can cheer him on even more.
Indeed, and it's a Mercedes AMG, Alfa Romeo, and a Renault on the podium. Good job, Freeze. Well-deserved victory. And over to the post-race session. Join us on Instagram and YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. See you next race. And yeah,
That's
make sure you watch the
pleasure.
British GP. British GP.
Oh yeah, the race going to start in about just so sure enjoy that.
Yep.
Thank you, Sarthak. Thank you, Rudra. I'm off now.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Rudra Mehta and me, Sarthak Ayappa, from the RoadRunnerRacingCo Esports team. Cheers.